Hi, in the following tutorial I'd like to show you how you can use our substance files in Cinema 4D and Octane Render. What is a substance? A substance is a material system that can be created with Substance Designer and exported as SBSAR file. These files are now compatible with tons of engines. Some need a plugin, some have direct support. So it can be imported in most of the engines out there, such as Unreal Engine, Unity, Lumberyard, CryEngine, and much more. Cinema 4D has a native support for the substance files. You can find a list of compatible engines on the internet, so please check that out. The advantage of this file is not only the high compatibility, but also that we can add parametric features to the materials. Here you see Substance Player, which is a free tool, where I open up one of our substance files. This is a brand new scan, which is called Tire Mark 5. I will switch the material system to tessellation so we can see the displacement here. And on the right side you will find all the parametric features that we added to the material. For example, you can easily sharpen up the diffuse map, or change saturations and luminosity and all that kind of stuff. Same for the roughness, specular level, normal, height, ambient occlusion. And then we have some features like adding water to this surface, which looks really nice. We can change the water level. We have an edge wetness. These are the dark areas you see here that are also reflecting, so it looks wet. And we can change the distance of these wet edges if we like to, and make the whole surface kind of muddy. We can also freeze the water in the first step with kind of ice, which is translucent, and just add a ice-like bump map onto the water, and then we can add some frost, including nice cracks and stuff like this. We can change the scale of the cracks, and tons of other things. And we also can add some snow. We do have a function to protect water from snow, so we still see the water level and have it separated. We have the snow separated from the water. We can melt the snow, and so on. So this way we can change the look of these texture scan that is provided by RDT textures, and we can even re-export the edited maps to use them further in our projects. So this is a workaround if you wanna use the substances in an engine that has no substance support. You can go this way. But what I want to show you is how to use them directly in Cinema 4D. We have added these SBSAR files for all our scans that are available at rdtextures.com. So here in Cinema 4D, please check out the preferences at the section Substance Engine. Here you find the function running Cinema 4D, where you can switch between DirectRD and which is GPU based and SSE, which is CPU based. You have a description down here. The CPU based version of the engine is limited to 2K resolution, while the GPU based version can handle full 8K resolution. So please switch to Direct3D or OpenGL. To handle your substances in Cinema 4D, please open the writer Pipeline, Substance Engine, and here you find the Substance Asset Manager. You can include it into your user interface, so you have the substances always in your viewport, which is nice. You can simply drag and drop our SBSAR files into this asset manager, or you can go to Load Substance or Load Substance from Folder. So now that we have one of our substance files loaded in Cinema 4D, if you click on it, you can see all the parametric features that I have shown in the beginning in Substance Player. So they are represented here. You will also find the maps that are generated by the Substance Engine here below. I can immediately create a standard Cinema 4D material where I don't have to set up anything. So I just let the engine create this material. I'm raising preview size. Here it is. And if we want to have tessellation, we can use a subdivision. So let's make a test render. Well, looks good. And now, same like in Substance Player, when I add some features here, these maps will change and they will be updated in the material. You can see that the material is linked to substance shader nodes. Inside this shader node, I can choose between the substance channels, and these channels are linked to the image files that we have here. So that's how the update is working between Substance Engine and Cinema 4D material. Now let's start Octane and take a look at how to use this material for Octane Render. I will include the live viewer into my user interface again and create a standard glossy material. Per drag and drop, I can now link this substance to the material, where we will find, if we open up the node editor, this substance shader node. Here it is. If we add this material to the plane and refresh the rendering, you will see we have it here, but in a very ugly resolution. This is because Octane is baking Cinema 4D shaders like noise and stuff like that, and it also works the same way with the substance shaders. So if we go to Octane settings into C4D shaders and we change the render resolution to something reasonable, you will see we have now a nice resolution in the result. Let's go back to the node editor, if I can find it. Here it is. So as we have a PBR material here, it's not enough to just use the diffuse map, of course. So let's copy this node 4 times. And we link this substance file to all the nodes. The first one will be our roughness. Our substance files are set to roughness. The glossiness is not active as long as you don't switch. You can switch between roughness and gloss map. Basically it's the same, it's just inverted. So if we have the roughness here, we can direct link this node to the roughness channel of our material. Not really noticeable here, but it works. And then we use a color correction or an inverter node to link the same map to the specular channel of our Octane material. Now we can see a little bit clearer that something is going on here. For the next substance node we use the normal channel and link it to our Octane material again. So now we have the normal map applied. And the fourth one will be the height map. For displacement in Octane you need this displacement node, which has a resolution, a mid offset, which should be set to 0.5, and the amount of displacement, which we will find out when we see the rendering. So let's link these nodes together. And here we are. Looks really nice instantly, and I guess the displacement depth is already okay. We can switch it here, but these 10 centimeters have been looking fine. So this is basically it. This way you can set up this substance material to make it work with Octane Render. Now let's have a look at some features and let us create a nice material. Therefore I will raise the size of the plane, and we are going to use 3x3 tiles. Everything is 100% tileable, no seams visible. And we can also add a HDR environment for nice reflections that will help us to see what is going on. Here we are. I added a nice HDR by CG axis. We can tweak it a little bit. And if we like to, we can add a artificial sun just to have some hard shadows here. So let's create a daylight. Kind of like this. And now we mix this daylight with the HDR. Probably change the daylight model to something more realistic. Or keep it at standard. To create something like this. Well, it seems I forgot to invert one of the nodes here because the reflection is completely at the opposite side. You see the water has no reflection, but the soil got the reflection, so let's head back to the node editor, and here I need to invert this map. So yes, that looks much better. Now that winter is coming, like shown in the beginning, let's add some ice. You can see that we have some nice bumps added here now, which have a kind of icy look. And we can also add frost again. So now we have some visible ice here. The cracks are again a little bit large, so let's scale them down a bit. And now we're gonna add some snow, which we want to protect from water. By the way, as you can see, as soon as I'm changing parameters, the engine is producing new maps and link it to the material. You can change this if you want to here, if you just activate or deactivate the substance. So if we now change some parameters, it will have no immediate update. But when I'm activating the substance again, the updates are calculated, exported, and sent to the material. If you want to use your own shaders for the snow, for example, we also added different masks. You can activate them here. So we have a snow mask and a water mask, even an ice or frost mask. As mentioned, if you want to use your own shaders here. I can now use a mix material where I link the substance material and just a random material. Let's make it blue or something so we can identify it. And for a mix material, you probably know we can only use one displacement, so I'm copying it from the substance material into this mix material. Let's assign this material to the plane. And now for the mixing, we again use a substance shader. Okay, let's switch to texture first. Substance shader, where we use the snow mask. So I think we have to invert it. So just add an inverter here. And yes, now we have separated all the snow to another material. when we now change some values here, for example, melt the snow just a bit. You can see the update, and you see that the mask is working exclusively on the snow areas. So this is really nice. There is another trick if you want to add some waves to the water, for example. We also have a mask for this. So I'm going to copy one of these substance shaders. I switch to water mask. Now I'm using a turbulence shader. And we just multiply them. Turbulence. Multiplied with this mask. And we link it into the bump channel of our material. And I guess we have to invert it again. I'm not sure. Let's defreeze the water so we can see more clearly. Oh yes, it's perfect. Here it is. So now we have these bumps in the water. And the good thing is that we can animate all these parameters, so we can make an animation for the freeze level and for everything. So this way I created this demo video here, where you can see snow rising and all that stuff. And here I have an example where I used the snow mask to apply some moss, which is another scan by RDT, to the surface. So you can also animate how the moss is growing over this surface. We do have a nice additional feature, which is a direction mask. This makes it possible to use this substance also for walls, not only for floors. And you can also simulate kind of wind that makes the snow appear on one side of the height field and not on the other side. So we have this snow direction, and now we turn on the direction intensity. Yes, and as you can see, the snow is now limited to one side. We can push the snow a bit with his build-up, so it's a little bit deeper. And we can add more fresh snow. Okay. I hope this tutorial was helpful. And I wish you all the best. Stay safe. Ciao, ciao.